More developments on the Canadian truckers in the Observer, Andrew.
So this is from tomorrow's Observer. This is the Canadian police arrest at least 100 protesters. As we know, they're breaking up the truck blockade in Ottawa, and there have been at least 21 vehicles towed as they've started to break up the protest camp. And this is the camp. This is the Freedom Convoy. It's quite interesting that in the Observer they call it the so-called Freedom Convoy, which pretty much lets you know where the Observer stands on this. No, it's called the Freedom Convoy, right? You don't need to start doing these snarky kind of.
It's how it's branded, quotes. And it's what they're fighting for.
It's how exactly. There's no point in calling it the so. But this is the bizarre thing about all of this is, and I've had a few spats on Twitter sort of trying to get to the heart of this. It's like, it feels to me like any mass protest movement is always going to attract a fringe of unpleasant people, and that's whether it's from the left or the right or whatever it is. But what you don't do is focus on that tiny fringe and say that is representative of the whole thing. Because if you do that, you scupper any future protest that you might support, right? So it's in everyone's interest just to be realistic about this. And it's very interesting that the first thing that Trudeau did is say, not to address what the protest is about, which is about vaccine mandates, is about the fact that they won't be able to cross the border without the vaccine passport. And by the way, 90% of the truckers were already voluntarily vaccinated. Forget about all that. He started saying they're all Islamophobes, transphobes, homophobes, racists, all of this misogyny, all of this stuff that's absolutely straight from his sort of social justice playbook and has absolutely nothing to do with what's actually going on. I think the propaganda over this has been utterly insane, particularly from the media.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you've stuck up for the truckers, Andrew, because many on the left, which you are despite what parts of the internet say, have completely abandoned the truck. Well, most of the left. And here we have the Guardian.
Class people.
Exactly.
Yeah, but that's because the people who call themselves left now have no interest in class politics.
They hate the working class. And this is the apotheosis of that. Look, as you said, the Guardian is saying here, fringe elements, including far-right activists, nationalist groups and conspiracy theorists have played a central role in the protests from the start. So it's absurd. And what amazes me is that these people, that Trudeau can, apparently if you have the right views, if you're one of the good people, you can do just about anything. Trudeau's frozen their bank accounts, or he can now do that with the Emergencies Act. Also, they were talking about seizing dogs the other day. They're going to seize your dog, and if you don't claim it after 8 days, it will be relinquished. Who knows what that means? And surely that crosses the line for everyone, like the dogs. They're going after the dogs, but still people are on their side, Trudeau's side.
It's the lack of concern about civil liberties and the way in which people are just waving through these, and I will say the word, authoritarian measures when it comes to peaceful protest, I should emphasise. Now, it's really also, I think, quite important that, we have a discussion about this sort of conflict between freedom of protest and public nuisance, which can be called, right? So, but what you don't do is bring in the riot guards. I saw a horrible footage today of police, horses trampling over protesters, and
it was a disabled person as well got trampled on the floor somewhere.
I just think we've got, I get it, when you've seen sort of Extinction Rebellion protests and they can't be moved, but I have seen with my own eyes the police peacefully remove people from somewhere when they are breaking the law because of their blockades or whatever. There's a way to do it without freezing their bank accounts, saying that you're going to causing physical harm, smearing them all as far right or whatever it is,
because then you lose the moral high ground.
And this is also why Extinction Rebellion, for instance, are saying, no, we can't start smearing these truckers like this. We can't start denying them civil liberties. This affects. It's not about left or right. It's about the fact that a democracy needs the right to peaceful protest, and if it goes over the line into criminality, there has to be a way to resolve that without authoritarian measures, surely.
And speaking of authoritarianism, what was hilarious was that China and Iran condemned Canada in tweets. So when China is condemning you, do you know what I mean? And then Canada did that tweet about Cuba supporting the protests there, lacking a sense of irony there. It's my question is, why has Trudeau doubled down so much? Why was this vaccine mandate so important to him? Yes, now it's become a larger protest about all COVID measures and Trudeau himself. But at the start, couldn't he have just said the science has changed or something and got rid of this ridiculous mandate?
What you mean? It's like an ego thing that he has to preserve.
Yeah, he's destroying himself now, which is good for me, but why has he gone so far over this petty mandate?